Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. So, if you've been paying attention to the news recently, you have heard that Congress has approved and Biden has signed $95 billion worth of military aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. So let's go through some of this first of all. Now, 61 billion of this is going to Ukraine. Now, allegedly, a large part of this, or maybe all of it, is being issued to Ukraine as a loan. But first of all, that money is not going directly to Ukraine. That's not the way this is working, but I'll get back to that. All right, so if it's being issued as a loan, if you're going to loan money to somebody, what's the first thing you're going to do? The first thing you're going to do is look at how likely you are to get paid back on this loan. Well, historically, before the conflict in Ukraine began in 2022, between 2014 and 2022, Ukraine had defaulted on or had to have numerous loans restructured because they wouldn't, couldn't, didn't pay back loans. As of this time, their industries have been, largely destroyed. Their workforce has been gutted. Russia has been targeting their power plants. Now, previously, they had struck power distribution centers, which could be easily repaired and replaced, and they intentionally did not strike the actual power plants, the generating plants, but now they are striking the power plants, which will take a lot more money and decades, because some of these power plants were built by the Soviet Union. So that means prior to 1991. So this is going to take decades and many more billions of dollars than Ukraine has got. And there's no way that they're going to be able to generate money. This is like me telling you to, go earn a living and all your tools have been destroyed. You're going to have money to buy tools, to earn a living, and then you're going to have to pay off the tools first before you can pay off any loan that you might get, and etc. Anyway, so, all right, second point of this. What I was mentioning is that this money doesn't go to Ukraine. Where this money is going, it goes to U.S. military contractors to buy the weapons to send to Ukraine. Well, here's a big problem with that. First of all, the money doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist. This money has to be created. How is it created? It's created by U.S. government treasury bonds, which means increasing the U.S. national debt. So again, if you loan this money out and it never gets paid back, then it just stays U.S. debt. If they default on the loans, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. But anyway, so let's get to the national debt issue. As of, let me go to this first. All right. At the end of 2023, the U.S. national debt was slightly over $33 trillion. At the end of 2022, it was almost $31 trillion. So that's $2 trillion added in 1 year. In 2021, again, 28.4. All right, so that was $2.5 trillion added in 2021, another $2 trillion in 2023. In 2022, 2.5. 2023, another $2 trillion, 2.2 to be exact. And as of right now, the U.S. national debt is at 34.6, almost 34.7 trillion. We're not halfway through the year. We've already added another 1.5 trillion this year. So by the end of this year, there's a very good chance that for 2024, the U.S. will add another $3 trillion to our debt. Another problem with that, the $2 trillion added last year, over $1 trillion of that went to pay the interest on the national debt. Now, the Federal Reserve, because inflation is still up and employment is allegedly still up, the Federal Reserve is now not expecting to decrease the interest rate until at least December of this year, at least. So, any new debt that gets issued, any new U.S. Treasuries that get issued, they're borrowed against that interest rate. So right now, they've been issuing debt, 2-year bonds, 5-year bonds, 10-year bonds. If you got 5% interest just right now and sell 10-year bonds, even with a 2-year bond, the ones that were sold in 2023 are going to have to be paid off in 2025. Well, how are you going to pay them off? By issuing more debt to pay them off. That's the only way that it's going to be possible for these things to be paid off, so the debt keeps on rising and keeps on rising. All right. Other parts of that money go to Israel, and that's something I'm going to do a different video on. But so Israel still waging war against Gaza, but they're expanding it because as of this weekend, Hezbollah and Lebanon launched a missile attack against Israel because Israel launched missile attacks into southern Lebanon. Israel is also increasing their confrontations, military confrontations with Iran. So you can expect that as that continues to expand, that the U.S., your tax dollars, they'll be creating more debt to send to Israel or to spend on U.S. military spending to support Israel. Another part of this money goes to Taiwan. Interesting thing there is that Anthony Blinken went to China the other day and basically tried to dictate to China to stop trade with Russia, to do this, to do that, to do something else. And this is after a few weeks ago, Janet Yellen went to China and told them to stop producing so much because it's damaging our economy. Well, that's not China's problem, is it? China's response has been, we need to cooperate, not compete. But that's just not even a term in the U.S. lexicon. Cooperation is not a term in the U.S. lexicon unless it involves weapons. All right, so $95 billion. Meanwhile, we've got a growing homeless population, growing debt, more and more people reliant on food banks and food stamps, etc. The personal debt, it's not just the national debt, but personal debt continues to climb. Meanwhile, U.S. GDP has been on the decline for 3 quarters, ever since September of last year. So the increase in the debt is not helping us in any way. It's not making you more secure. You're not at threat from Russia. You're not at threat from Palestine, Gaza. You're not at threat from China. So you're not being kept safe. Our real threats are homelessness, hunger, poverty, medical care. This $95 billion, how many people could be housed in the United States for $95 billion? How many people that are food insecure could be fed for $95 billion? Quite a few, right? Keep in mind, $1 billion is 1 million times 1,000. So this is literally $95,000 million. 95 billion. That's what that is. It's 95,000 million. Now, one of the things that you'll always hear is that this spending on weapons creates jobs. Well, you know what? Providing housing, providing education, making sure Americans can eat, that creates jobs too. And those are sustainable jobs. Okay? When you use money to wage war, the sustaining those jobs, perpetuating those jobs means you have to perpetuate the war. You have to continue waging war, killing people in other parts of the world. Who dies when you build a school, when you provide housing? Yeah, you're saving lives. When you're feeding people, you're saving lives. You're improving the economy because that money gets spent. You go to the grocery store and spend this money. And what happens? You're paying for the cashier, the manager, the stock person, the delivery drivers, the farmers, the ranchers, the food processors. All of those jobs are supported that way. When you house people, you're paying for construction and maintenance and so forth and so on. If that person has even a low amount of income, you're allowing them to use that income to spend in the general economy in one way or another. that they're not having to spend on housing, and you drive the cost of housing down in this way by building schools and paying teachers. You're creating jobs. You're giving them an income so that they have disposable income that they can spend out in the general economy, which creates more jobs, sustains more jobs. Weapons, not so much. You got to keep on building more weapons. You got to keep on creating more wars. You got to keep on killing. I'm not in favor of any of this. More and more money for wars and weapons and being confrontational to other countries instead of sitting down and talking. It makes no sense. How much more are we going to spend? That $95 billion is on top of, I can't even keep track of how much has been given to Ukraine so far, or to Israel, or to Taiwan. You add them all up. Now, the last number I heard to Ukraine alone was $113 billion. So add another 95 to that, and you're well over $200 billion. And then you got the money that is, and that's a severe underestimate. And then you got the money that has gone to and for Israel and Taiwan, and we're expanding our footprint in the South China Sea, which is costing us more money and will continue to cost more money. You build those bases, you have to pay to man those bases, supply those bases. You have to build them, you have to man them, you have to supply them, you have to keep on. And how much does that cost? One base is easily $1 million a month. And you multiply that by 40, 50, 100 bases. And you're paying for it. And what is it doing for you? Anything? Not me. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. Oh, other thing. If you think that putting Trump into office is going to help, no, it won't. Because he will just perpetuate pretty much the same thing. Remember, he was the one that sent Javelin missiles to Ukraine in 2017. He says that he'll loan Ukraine money. I've already addressed this part. Ukraine will never pay that money back. There's no chance. There's no chance that Ukraine can win this conflict. So they are never going to pay this money back. So he would be giving it to them anyway. Would he sit them down and make them talk? No, he says he would talk to each one individually. Now, that's not going to work. You have to get them in the same room and make them talk to each other. And that's the only way that this is going to end. But until that happens, you're going to keep paying for it. And sooner or later, the United States is going to default on our debt. Like it or not, that is going to happen. Unless we change something. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects far and wide. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.